Hello, everybody, and welcome to Everything They Don't Want You to Know. I am your host, Jesse Blaze Snider. How are you doing out there? I'm doing great. Care Bear stare to you all. If you're not doing great, I hope you're doing better tomorrow. Hang in there. Take care of yourself. I've been in the gym, and it's been awesome for me. And, everybody always says oh, I've never felt better in my life. But it's like a cliche. I will say I've been dealing with depression and so many things for so long. I have not been producing natural endorphins in like a decade. And I am now. And oh my God, I'm so much happier. So, and I mean, it took a minute to really, I was enjoying it from the beginning, but I really enjoyed it even more now that I'm adding the sauna. I'm doing sauna, and then I'll take cold showers and do sauna. It's really great, taking care of myself. So take care of yourself if you're out there. You know, this year with my band Delph USA, I want to try to do some like health initiatives and stuff, like especially for men. You know, we don't say anything about our fucking health, and then we just one day our dads die. You're like, what the fuck? You know, because men don't admit when they're having a hard time, you know, and I know because that's been my journey. I woke up at 30 in pain like that I could not ignore, and I realized I had enjoyed at 28 being introduced to marijuana recreationally, and really I would use it as medicine. I didn't realize I was numbing my body. My body was in a lot of pain, and then it cranked up at 30, and I've been fighting it ever since, and trying to take my health back. And I want to see other people take their health back. I want to see young men get a clue that maybe they should be taking care of themselves. That would be nice. Delph USA just dropped a new song called We Gave an Alligator Mushrooms just before the new year. We're trying to get the video count up, and we're trying to get promotion for it. If you're a vegan or know anyone who is, write to Jesse Blaze at jessesnider.com. Or is it jesseblaze.snider.com? Yeah, write to Jesse Blaze at jesseblaze.snider.com. That's what it is. And let me know if you want to help me promote our vegan anthem. It's pretty cool. You may like it. Anyway, today I want to talk about the sheep and the black sheep. Well, sorry. Yeah, the sheep, the black sheep, and I guess the trifecta, the sheep, the black sheep, and the wolves in sheep's clothing. They're all out there, my friends. They're all out there. Because, my friends, you don't want to be a sheep. I have spent the better part of 10 years arguing with a lot of really temperamental and fucking touchy people about the vaccine regimen that we are giving to our young children. As you know, I have 4 of my own. My oldest is 16. My youngest is 8. 2 girls, 2 boys. I have been having this conversation for a couple reasons. One, I knew I was going to have kids and was looking at the information, was starting to have kids, and was seeing how many vaccines they were getting. And I was seeing these whistleblower type people who were like, vaccines are the cause. And while I wasn't sure that was true on any level, I looked into it pretty good. And there did seem to be some evidence. But the main reason why I looked into it so good, and the main reason why I was sort of curious about it, was because as I came to understand the real nature of the human body, which the most important part of is the field, the energy field that you live in. There's an incredible book that I would recommend to everybody. It's called The Field. I forget who wrote it, but if you look it up, The Field, it's very popular. And it's about a whole bunch of different experiments that just basically prove that everything is like Avatar. You know, everything's just connected through our energy fields. We're living in a collective consciousness. Every consciousness is individually creating its own reality with its own unique perspective on that reality, which is out into a multiverse of possibilities of that perspective and of actions and reactions and whatever else, all the possibilities that can go, but you're just acting out one single version of it. So, your field is super important. Your field is basically created, and the pattern of your adult self is created in the moment of conception. And this is a conversation that, really it's like knowing this and then seeing all the conversations about abortion, which, I am pro-choice. I believe everybody should have the choice. However, when people start trying to have conversations about babies like they're not babies, the moment of conception, like, you're wrong. Sorry. There's just the thing's there. The whole thing, the adult thing it's there, right? The whole idea for the future of the thing is right there from the moment the egg and the... Sorry, case closed. It is a thing. Mileage may vary on what you might feel about how that should be handled. It doesn't matter what my opinion is. However, it is very much from that moment when the egg and the sperm meet, it's a thing. So understanding that your field is like super important. You don't want any holes in your field. You also don't want emotional, energetic blockages in your field, which ultimately will cause you injury, illness, and whatever else. The field and your illnesses and the perfection of your body are directly tied together. And it is a big problem when you have unneeded metal in your body that isn't conductive with your field and causes basically little holes to be punched in your field where the energy can't pass. So me understanding that aluminum and things, not aluminum, sorry, whatever, is it mercury, I guess, on the vaccines that they use in very small doses, and it's poison, but in small doses, there's reasons why they use it, and they're like, well, in small doses, it's negligible. However, a lot of like the fish in the sea, they really struggle to get the mercury out of their body, which is why you shouldn't eat too much sushi too often, and pregnant ladies shouldn't eat sushi because there's so much heavy metals in them. The body, there are some ways, by the way. Cilantro and parsley are two things that you can eat. I used to blend them into shakes to get metal out of me. I haven't done it in a while. I need to do it some more. But it's hard to get these metals out of your body once they're in there. And as a child, I think it's like at least 24. I mean, and you get like they would go to the doctor when I would bring my kids to the doctor, and they would be getting multiple shots at once often, and they would try to break it up. The only thing that I did was I like kicked the can down the road. I tried to push them as far down the highway as I could. The kids need these shots. They're required to go to the school, and there's so many shots, and. And sometimes, they missed it. Okay, now they had to get 3 at a time. And I just kept going. I'm like, I don't remember getting this many shots. And of course, I didn't. It's been going up and up. And that's the craziest of the studies. When you see the numbers of when we started the shot, where we were giving it 5 times because you had to get it in a bunch of sections, like once that one starts and then a whole bunch of other, and then the autism rates just start going. Autism is no joke. It is trapping people in a different version of reality than we have here. Granted, it's a wonderful version of reality. They seem to be enjoying it okay. However, I know that we still would probably appreciate being able to interact with our loved ones more similarly than to each other, more similarly to how we interact with each other, with ourselves, with our friends. I don't know. You know what I'm trying to say. I remember I got really good, credible information on a lady who was claiming to be curing autism, and there was some testimonials and some different things, and the things that she was saying were credible things, getting the metal out of the body, and they were having more cognizant ability showing up in the kids. I'm on the spectrum. There's so many people who are on the spectrum, and I mean, and so like so many of these people who are currently low functioning autistic, I think very easily they will become very high functioning autistic if you can get some of this metal out of their body. It has now been way more studied and as far as I'm concerned, fucking proven. And it's very aggravating to me for a whole bunch of different reasons. I RFK Jr., I really believe, is going to do something about this, and I'm so excited. Whatever people may say about Trump or whatever, I love RFK, and he's not a kook, and he's a guy who's lived, and he has real understanding of what's going on. And every time I hear him talk, I'm just so gratified that somebody in that position is understanding really what needs to be done. So there's going to be some major changes happening on these vaccines. And I was right. And I didn't do anything about it. And my kids are probably worse for it on some level. Granted, my kids were able to not succumb, as is basically the case, which I will add. When a child is born, they have a brain-blood barrier between their two hemispheres of their brain. It's in the center, and it's kind of empty space, and it closes over time. I forget what age where it like closes up, but during this time, apparently, these heavy metals get lodged there, and if enough of them get lodged there, let's say the mom eats a lot of sushi, or uses aluminum in her cooking a lot or whatever else, and has picked up a lot of metals in their body. And there's so many ways for us to absorb these little itty bitty particulates of the things. Well, now in utero, you transfer a lot of that metal to the baby. For whatever reason, that metal tends to end up in the brain. And now they get a bunch of these injections within a few early years of their life, and all of this metal starts to accumulate, and then one day there's blockages within the thinking between the hemispheres. It's one of the great things that psilocybin mushrooms will do for you, especially the first time you do it. If you do a really big dose and aren't afraid, and do it like meditationally, I would recommend. It will basically give you perspective on yourself by connecting the two hemispheres of your brain, and that is very important. Very, very important. And I think perhaps my autism, level, whatever, being on the spectrum in the way that I am, sort of just missing social cues and different things, because I don't think like other people, and I didn't understand. It may very well have been affected by those things. Do I know these things for certain? Have I proved them in a lab? No, I haven't, but I knew. Everything that we're talking about here and that we're going to be talking about is about sort of math, statistics. Is this statistically irregular? And looking for the statistical irregularities and getting the information you can get on what is really true to the best of your ability. So, that's what I'm always trying to do. And I did that. And I succeeded. But on some level, I didn't trust myself. So I let my kids get vaccinated just like everybody else. Like I said, the only thing I did was I tried to wait. Like there's like a certain amount of time. Like I waited as long as I could, to get some of these things, because I knew she was developing, my daughter, and then my son. Like their brains are developing. All these things. Just give them more time to develop before they get this injection that could potentially do harm. But I knew that it could potentially do harm, and I didn't do anything about it. Similarly, I don't know, it's been at least 12 years now or something. No, I guess. No, yeah, 12 years. That I've known about aliens and alien abductions and UFOs and a shitload more. And I've been talking about all these things, or trying to, And once again, I get all this fucking pushback. And here we are, 10 years later, and I was fucking right. Did I not think that I could trust my own mind? Or was the problem that I didn't think that the other people would trust my own mind and that the other people would make me feel crazy if I went out into the world trusting my own mind? Don't be like me. I went to my children the other day and I told them, don't be like me. Don't do what Daddy did here. I said, my children, I'm sorry. I knew that these vaccines were probably not good for you. They're finally about to be changed. It's finally being more widely accepted that just the sheer volume of these vaccines and all of the heavy metals in them is a problem on the immune system for small children, and that it is contributing to autism. Hallelujah. Except I let you guys get vaccinated. I risked you. I should have fought the system or taken you out of the system, and I failed you as a father. And that's not the only thing that I've been right about. And I'm a fool for not trusting my guns and allowing other people to override what I know is right in my heart. Don't be like I was. I'm not going to do that anymore. And, that's what I'm here to show you, because there are the sheep and then there are the black sheep doing what I'm doing. But it's hard to be a black sheep because you know what the other sheep do to the black sheep? They try to shut them up. Last week, I talked about the fires. I got a strike on YouTube that I have to fight. And I didn't give out false information. I gave out a lot of possibilities that needed to be investigated further. But I got major pushback from various friend groups on social media for sharing and inquiring. And it really pissed me off. I started posting, for every person who posts to me that I should shut up, I'm going to post twice about something you don't want me to say. And that is what we got to do. Intellectually, it's time for an eye for an eye. Intellectually, no violence. This is the violence is just stupid. You're just hurting yourself. However, taking your dominant position as an intellect in the world is about pushing the other minds of God out of the way so that your thoughts can be the prominent thought. So what the sheep do is, when you get out of line, they come in and they try to tell you what all the other sheep have told them. There's a really crazy movie that you could check out. It's a movie and its sequel called The Platform. And all of these people are in this prison where there's a food platform that comes down from the top. And depending on where you are in the prison, depends on how much food you're really going to be able to eat. And nobody saves anything for the people really far below. And none of the people want to tell anybody anything in one of the movies. Then in the other movie, they're trying to tell each other what to do, too much, and it's like this in-between thing. And that's the thing. It's got to be this balance, But people telling you that your concern isn't a concern, fuck that. The age of that is over. I'm not doing that anymore. You shouldn't do that anymore. If you have concerns, whether they be that the fucking earth is flat, the moon is a spaceship, or that there's bad shit in your food, speak up. Demand answers. Every single one of you should be satisfied. If you're a black supremacist and you want to understand more about what the fuck happened with Lemuria and your ancestors, hallelujah, I agree. If you're a white supremacist who doesn't think the fucking Nazis and the Holocaust so bad and you want more answers about the fucking hullabaloo about the war and propaganda and you want information to come out that exonerates fucking Hitler, do it, man. Talk. Let's have that conversation. Will it exonerate Hitler? I don't know. But I see that there are people out there who really want to have that conversation. I see there are people out there who really want to have that conversation about Lemuria. I see there are people out there who really want to have that conversation about flat Earth. And I can tell you that I've looked at every single one of their information, and it is sound that they have come to the conclusions that they have come to. I don't necessarily agree with every conclusion that every person has come to. And I don't think that it's really possible in a lot of cases to come to a conclusion per se. Even though, like I said, or maybe I said this earlier in another thing. The truth is out there if you want to understand it. You know, the truth is, yeah, there's definitely people are getting abducted. There are a lot of reports. They're very consistent. They seem to be working with the military. There's very consistent things amongst lots of people. Go listen to Bigfoot reports and stories of Bigfoot. There's a lot of consistent things. Consistency is what we're looking for in all these stories. Read books from whistleblowers about the health, the medical industry, everything. Consistent things. Their stories are way more consistent than the mainstream news story, than the mainstream story that we're told. So I told my kids I was sorry. And I mean it. And, I'm not somebody who regrets. So, I'm not regretful. But I'm never going to make that mistake again. I'm never going to let anybody push me around as an intellect. If I see fucking Bigfoot, I'm telling people, I saw Bigfoot and you're a fool not to believe me. If I understand that there are aliens, I'm telling people there are aliens and you are a fool not to believe me. I've looked into this at length. I've looked into all of these subjects at length. Nowadays, when I come across a conspiracy theory that I haven't fucking heard of, I get giddy. I mean, not like little ones. Did you hear about that one guy who did the one? I don't give a shit. I care about the things that matter in the big picture. The wars are history. Aliens, underground shit, the shape of things, space, everything that matters. People, sometimes I get into people, but there's all sorts of people. It's easier to look at industries. It's easier to look at countries and, look at this, the world as a bigger place so you can get a bigger view of the thing that you're looking at. Now, when I came into this new year, guns a-blazing, especially because the LA fires happened, and all sorts of weirdness with the LA fires. There was all sorts of weirdness with the Honolulu thing, but I didn't necessarily feel like I was as connected to that or anything. In this case, I have friends' houses who have burnt down, and they fucking lost everything they have. And, I live out there most of the year. So I, had a fucking bone to pick with this whole situation. And immediately, the leaders of the sheep started to try and mine the herd. And I kept seeing all these posts online that were sort of accusing people who were calling shenanigans of making it political. And some of them were going out of their way to say, Democratic Mayor Gavin Newsom or whatever. None of that stuff matters. Doesn't matter who's in charge right now. The whole system is rigged against you. Every war is funded on both sides. All those heinous experiments that freaking Adolf Hitler did were funded by the same fucking money that got away scot-free when he, was allegedly killed, and I don't think he was. They are constantly playing us. They're funding all the black movements, and they're funding all the Hispanic movements, and they're funding all the gay movements. They're funding everything. They are controlling all the things. If you've got a thing and there's any sort of corporate control or any sort of big money involved, you're under control. You're under control. You might not even know that you're under control, but you're under control. And maybe you can think back about moments in time where you weren't able to do a certain thing, you weren't able to say a certain thing because you're under control. And at the very least, even if your bosses aren't under control, but they're playing in this system and they're big business people, whatever else, they will probably be keeping you under control because the same reason why I got all this pushback talking about these fires. Some of the pillars of the sheep communities in music and in comics or entertainment, they needed to come out and defend the way the other sheep are thinking. Well, now, Jesse, let's not make this political. There are people dying here, and there are houses burning. Let's not make it a political conversation, Jesse. No, that's fine. Let's make it about all the shit that's going down that's weird, and let's keep talking about it until there's investigation. We hear that something is going to happen to rectify this criminal happening in LA. The possibilities of what could be happening right now and the evidence of it being a conspiracy. The facts are statistically irregular. From it being fucking Hollywood of all places where this is happening, and all of the things that led up to it, and all of the strangeness with the weather, and all of the strangeness with the multiple fires, how many keep seeming to start up. I haven't looked into it since yesterday, but I mean, one of the main fires was only 19% contained, and it's been like a week now. What are you sheep afraid of? Finding out what's happening here? Do not let the sheep lead. The black sheep are meant to lead. So if you are a black sheep and you've been feeling like those sheep don't really like it when you're around, tough titty. Do you hear what I said? Tough shit. You are here to lead. We don't have anybody else. If you're listening to this show, it's because you're here to lead. We don't have anyone but you. We need you to bravely go into the world and do what I just did with a person I don't care for and a very good friend of mine, which was fearlessly speak your fucking truth and just, move on. That's what I'm doing. And, I've tried to do this in the past, and it always just would make my body hurt. This year, these fires, this thing was like a catalyst for me. And it was the first time that I did it where nothing hurt, man. Felt good. Still feels good. Feels good to have this conversation with you. But you see what a nuanced conversation this is. People are ready to defend the system, and many of them are wolves in sheep clothing. This network of powerful, influential people that they go after. I know people in my life who they've gone after who aren't the sons of rock stars or whatever, but they are people of note. People not even necessarily that you might think were of note, but if you knew this person, you'd be like, oh yes, they have a certain amount of charisma and go-getterness and whatever other things. They're capable. Capable people are offered positions. In the black community, it's called, I think, the boule. Was it the goule? I think it's the boule. There's the Skull and Bones. There's the Freemasons. There's the Illuminati. And there are many more, especially religious orders, all sorts of fucking secret religious orders. All these people have been fighting over the planet. The Illuminati and the Freemasons seem to get into cahoots at a certain point in time. And it's funny because, I would meet these fucking Masons sometimes, and I would be like, you don't know shit about what they are doing in a secret society. Nobody knows. You don't know what they're doing. You don't know. You know that there's a secret society and that they're all connected to each other and that they're doing things and that there's a fucking pyramidal type power structure that goes up to few people at the tippy top who know things that you don't. And that's all of these fucking groups. They're commoditizing information. So when I say things like this and I get a fucking lecture from one of my friends who's like 10 years older than me, and fuck him, lecturing me about the misinformation and the fucking danger of misinformation is a lie, because all information that you receive from the media is misinformation, because on some level, if the information gets to you, it got there through money. And I'll tell you this, because anybody who's advertising things to their friends are going to find their friends are just waiting to see if the universe validates them. And the only way the universe is going to validate you, if you fucking advertise. So you advertise. And what are you doing then? You're artificially inflating the importance of your art, which is supposed to be great because of it's art and it's so great. Except, no, the only way to actually participate is to put it out there, or to get somebody else in the system to choose you to bring into the system and make money off of you. But they're only going to do that when they think they can make money off of you. That only happens when you're talented and dumb. Talented and dumb people get managers really quick. Otherwise, it tends to be a little bit of a crapshoot. Most of these people are predating upon the various members of the industry in one way or another. Some people have very good intentions about this. And while the position can be looked at that way, it can be looked at being a fabulous support position, and some people do that as well. But it's some people. Some. I was in the sauna the other day, and I was having a conversation, and it was very much like a kind of conversation. And this guy, very slick haircut, and he like came in. He's like, "So I work in finance, and I do the thing, and like you just have to understand, like business and as soon as he left, I just went, that person is the reason why this system remains, because he is benefiting from it, and he will actively open his mouth to defend it because he doesn't want to feel bad about all of the ways in which he's taking advantage of everybody. Well, tough shit. Those people need to move aside. I'm not having this, no, the way we do capitalism is stupid. No, the way we do our financial system is a stupid casino game that doesn't make any sense, and we should abolish the whole fucking thing and put these people back to work doing something useful in the world. Yeah. Do something fucking useful with your life. Learning how to do the freaking math in the tricky ways that they've maneuvered it to be, so that they can compartmentalize the information about how to be wealthy, and you learning that so that you can be one of the fucking jerks taking advantage of everybody. Yeah, fuck that. Unless you're one of the jerks who is using your knowledge to try to dismantle this system and take it apart from within. And then more power to you for trying. But I have learned, based on my experience, that you don't change systems. Systems change you. And that's why I've gone independent with my comic book publishing and independent with my music. I don't want to be changed by this system. The system tried to change me for years and years and years and years, and it ultimately did in lots of ways. And I was honestly suicidal with grief because I didn't want to be living on planet Earth, being myself in a system that didn't want me to be myself. Yeah, I just didn't want to piss everybody off. But I'm here, and I'm not going anywhere. And the only answer is to be my authentic self and fucking stand up for my children this time in the way that I didn't 10 years ago, when I was right about a dozen different things that were all conspiracies. They weren't fucking conspiracies, man. That's just something people say when they don't want to have the conversation. Now, the thing that I really want to just, get into today to, bring this conversation into like a point of like, sort of like, what do we do about this and how do we talk about this and so many things. One, remember these words. Your lack of concern for my concerns are noted, but less important than my concerns. Throw your smoke bomb and get out of there. Remember that. All right. 2. The reason why people haven't wanted to have these conversations is because we live in this world where everybody's demanding proof. You know, give me the picture of Bigfoot. I want a photo of him standing there with his driver's license that says, this is Bigfoot. He's holding a newspaper, and it says this. I mean, meanwhile, there's a shitload of clips of Bigfoot. Granted, you know, he is kind of blurry often, but you'll see him walking through the woods, and people go, you know, somebody. I'm like, are people getting super convincing Bigfoot costumes to walk in the woods for a couple seconds across a thing to film a shitty video to put it online to get? Maybe they are. However, there are also a shitload of people who have just had Bigfoot experiences. And their stories are very consistent. A lot of them are very shaken up by the experiences and are devastated. The reaction that they've gotten to from people when they've tried to tell people things. It's awful. It really is. It's fucking awful. And so here's the sorry, I'm realizing more things that I would like to tell you after this. So there's no proof that'll really satisfy anybody. I mean, you know, I'm sure there is. There's like a tipping point. But there's sort of, is it statistically possible that there would be this many personal accounts of Bigfoot stories? And I mean, and there's so many. Because it's not just that there's personal accounts of Bigfoot stories like there are with like aliens. There are stories of aliens from the old days and written in books here, there, whatever, things that you might, but not a huge prevalence. However, fucking super, super duper prevalent. So even more prevalent, especially in books and cultures all around the world, Bigfoot, the hairy man. You know, wherever there are fucking mountains, there's Bigfoot. It's just like it's kind of crazy once you dig into Bigfoot, the idea that Bigfoot doesn't exist, because it's a statistical irregularity that he wouldn't exist. It's a statistical irregularity that aliens wouldn't exist. It would be a statistical irregularity that something that everybody in America was consuming and being exposed to at a young age was causing autism. If it wasn't, it would be statistically irregular. It was happening across the whole population at once. There's a lot of reasons to go. It must be something that we're all getting with. This is one of the reasons why the Amish are a smoking gun for vaccines. And I mean, that's one that you can pull out for anybody. They don't use vaccines. They never get the measles. They don't have any outbreaks of fucking terrible diseases or anything. But better than that, and maybe you can find one, but generally speaking, these are very fucking healthy people, so don't friggin' argue with me about that. The exceptions to the rule don't make the rule. They have no cases of autism. Zero cases. No one has been able to find an autistic Amish kid. So what the fuck is going on there? And guess what? They don't get any vaccines at all. So, and and there are other things that they do, but in particular, the vaccine thing is something that is very, in particular, not like us. I do think some of the other things that they do are positive too for the not getting autism, and it could be a number of different things, but it's clearly linked in a lot of different ways. And it's been obvious to those with eyes and those with an understanding of the energetic spiritual body, like I was talking to you guys about. So this is insane for me to not act on it. But I didn't know how to talk about it at the time. How do you talk about these things? Well, that's it. It's, hey, listen, I'm good at math, and this is statistically irregular. I want an investigation. There are pieces of information coming out that concern me. I would love to look into this subject until most of the population seems satisfied with the answer. And of course, we got to be noisy in the future, all of us together, so that we can collectively be like, harumph, harumph, harumph. No, there's still a problem. Harumph, harumph, harumph. There's still a problem. And hold these people accountable. I couldn't believe what was happening in the Democratic Party over the past 6 years, because I'd always kind of voted Democratic, occasionally independent. But I was supportive of so many of those people because I had a lot of similar views to them. And Bernie Sanders, I was a big supporter of. And then they gave all of his money to Hillary Clinton. They kind of like tricked his money into Hillary Clinton's accounts, and that shit was fucked up. And I couldn't believe it. Couldn't believe that shit. And then when I tried to like call him out on it, those same sheep pillars of the fucking Democratic Party, and they are on both sides, the sheep. People who think Donald Trump is a god who is bringing in the next, even though I may even agree with them, some of the information that they're looking at, that Trump may very well be being utilized by a good guy faction of the military who I don't necessarily trust either. These are all just secret groups who aren't telling us shit about shit. And they're only going to tell us what they want to tell us. And I believe that I'm going to be here for quite a long time, speaking truth to the masses, telling you everything they don't want you to know. Elon Musk in particular, like, I don't trust him as far as I can fucking throw him. I love a couple of the things that he stands for, and I stand for some of those same things. But I think that Elon's freedom of speech is just a means to look like an advocate for free speech while representing the interests of secret societies like the Freemasons, who might be using him as somebody that they've propped up and they've turned into somebody of notoriety to try to take over the culture in one way or another. And he definitely is taking over the culture in one way or another. So I advise, don't join the cult of Elon, even though when he says good things, support, that's good. It's good when he says good things, but yeah, I don't trust that motherfucker. And you shouldn't trust any of this. You should not trust this system. Don't trust this system at all. All of the people in it are either playing along because it benefits them, playing along because they're scared what will happen if they don't. That's it. That's it. And all these people who push back against me and what I was saying, they're playing along. This system doesn't work for me. I don't think it works for most of us. And until it does, until it works for the animals, until it works for Mother Gaia and all the plants, I'm going to keep opening my mouth about everything that I want to talk about. And you guys got to do it too. Open your mouth and have these conversations simply of, I find these things statistically irregular. Have you ever looked into this subject at length? Well, I understand that you're not concerned about it, but your lack of concern is less of a concern than the fact that I have concerns about something important. So I'm going to keep talking about this, and I'm going to push the government to investigate. I'm going to push for conversations to be had and things to change. It's very simple. Somebody had posted on my wall the other day that memes are going to change the world. And I said, oh yeah, a good meme can change the mind. And changing a single mind changes their world. And like I said, it's a multiverse. For them, it's a multiverse for you as a piece of them. And it spreads down the line. A meme, an idea. A really good meme is a really good idea. And never underestimate the power of a great idea. If I didn't think great ideas had supreme power, I wouldn't be a writer or a musician. And that's one of those things that I just know. And I didn't have to be taught. But it's true. So what else did I was thinking before I wanted to talk to you about this thing? Let's see. So we got, friends coming out after you, trying to get you to shut up. Don't let them tell you to do that. And we've got, your concern being important. And we're talking about these fires. And we're talking about conspiracies in general. And so the last thing I'll say is basically conspiracies should be thought of as collections of facts that don't line up with the public story. The public story is the Titanic was this major luxury vessel, but aesthetically they didn't take enough lifeboats, and they advertised how it was unsinkable, and then they went straight up north and crashed into an iceberg, and lots of people died, including a bunch of major financial leaders of the time. That's the story. The real story is the Titanic was a boat that they already had. The Titanic was a boat that they painted to look like another boat so that they could scheme the insurance company. They painted the other boat to look like the Titanic. They put not enough lifeboats on it, planning to sink it. Some of the richest people were involved in this conspiracy. Even inside the boat, there's records of weirdness that was going on, of them like knowing that they were heading into fucking iceberg territory. And they sank this ship on purpose. And when you go down to the bottom of the ocean, you can see that the Titanic, which has a certain window configuration, this one doesn't have that window configuration. It's got the window configuration of the other one, which is like two little windows next to each other or in a slightly different place. I forget exactly what it is. But the evidence is clear as day. There's what they say, and then there's the facts. When we have the facts that don't line up, we can't just let it lay there anymore. We can't just go, oh man, there's some things that make it seem like maybe the earth is flat. Okay, why is that? That's strange. Why are there all these crazy people running around thinking the earth is flat? How about instead of us just dismissing them and thinking they're flat, how about we investigate the specific things that they want us to? How about we satisfy this thing? Prove, disprove, whatever it is. It's time. It's time to stick to your guns. If you've got something that you're thinking, something that you feel strongly about, don't let them push you off of it. For 10 years, I thought that I shouldn't really, vaccinate my kids this much. It was too much. And I was right. And I was trying to talk to people about aliens, and I was right. And I was trying to talk to people about government corruption and our food system and the medical system, and I was right. Isn't this like a terrible tragedy loop that somebody who was right about something so majorly important would have been prevented from talking about it 10 years ago? Doesn't it behoove all of us to make sure that never happens again? And we got to start with the man in the mirror? I could never let that happen again. I can never have the information that everybody needs and be afraid to talk about it. Especially not because, it's dangerous. Fuck you. It's dangerous for you. And it's dangerous for an individual when they're having to friggin' patty cake around this system. Not for a loud artist who's independent and doesn't have to fucking answer to anybody. So everybody, all of my friends in the social media sphere are really going to be in for it this year as I continue to speak truth without letting myself get rocked, letting myself care. It doesn't matter. They don't know what you know. I used to think that as soon as I found out something, like everybody knows that now. But that's not the case. Not everybody knows it now. Just because you know it, other people take a little longer to catch up. And if you really think that something is important and you really feel like you got to speak up, you got to have those conversations, those uncomfortable conversations. Let them know that you're there, perpetually believing what you believe. Not that you're don't let them make you into some like closet conspiracy theorist. I was so aggravated that I got like lumped into the Republican category as a conspiracy theorist early on in the like thing with Trump and running against the Democratic Party, because basically they didn't like what the conspiracy theorists were saying. So all of a sudden they just kind of rounded us up into one group. But it really helped the Republican Party as a whole to get really woken up to what the possibilities of the conspiracies that could really be going on this planet are. Because trust me, the whole thing is just a conspiracy across the board, but it's such a layered tapestry of nonsense. It's impossible to get to the bottom of it. So you have to sort of frame it from that statistical irregularity point of like, look at this. look at this. Is it ineptitude? Or is this conscious decisions that are destroying everything? I think it's conscious decisions. I think these are all choices that could be made or unmade. And I mean, really, it's just like, it's so aggravating to live in this world where you show up to speak hoping to help and resolve situations only to be batted away by those people who aren't ready to have them. But we can't let the people who aren't ready to have the conversations dictate the pace of the conversation anymore. The black sheep, the sheep who know how to defend themselves with violence but choose not to, will inherit the earth. I believe that. And I know how to have tough conversations. And it used to wreck me because I loved people. And I understand if you're out there and you love people too and you don't want to have these hard conversations, whatever, get used to it. Get used to being uncomfortable like that. Trust me, you'll be better off. You'll feel better speaking your truth and going through these uncomfortable situations. And at a certain point, it won't be uncomfortable anymore. Like I said, it was a good friend of mine who did the thing to me today. And I don't care at all. I really don't care. More than I don't care, I'm sort of grateful to him for giving me the opportunity to sort of go, fuck you. Even though I love him still, and I don't have any bad feelings about them. That's the thing. You got to not have any bad feelings about this. You got to be fierce in the defense of your country and your family and the people that you love. But a fierce defense is not a uncaring, lack of empathy, whatever else. I believe that this is important. I want to talk about it. You disagree? Go with God, my son. But I'm going to keep talking about it. So, over there, And of course, there's no need to go out into the world and be a jerk. But for the sake of being a jerk. But, having a sense of humor about this thing, I don't think God's going to fault you for that. Anyway, I love you guys so much for checking out the show. I am going to be back next week talking about, I don't know, something. I've just kind of gotten into the organic pattern of this show, and I think there's going to be so many things that are going to be going on and have been going on that I'm just going to talk about things as they come. And today it was the sheep and the wolves in sheep's clothing, and I really wanted to chat with you about that because don't put it past them that they have thought leaders in your group who are going to push back on you and that are keeping the sheep in line, and that's part of what they do. As I spoke out about different things, that was when the Illuminati and Freemasons had reached out to me online the first time. You're clearly very intelligent. Let's get you under control. Yeah. That's what they want. They want all the smart, snappy people. And then the rest of the ones who aren't necessarily intelligent, maybe in the way that they're going to be pulled into the thing, you're a stockbroker or a financial analyst, or you're enjoying the system as it is. You've figured out how to make a lot of money in the system as it is. You don't want it to fucking change. Sorry. Fuck those people. If you're using the system in a way that should have never been invented in the first place, prepare the invention of that bullshit to go away in the near future, because I and other people are just going to keep going and opening our fucking mouths until we dismantle this stupid apparatus that we are living under. It is hurting the planet. It is hurting each other. It is hurting all of the communities on planet Earth. And I believe that this system thrives on us living in disagreement. And we do not have to live in disagreement anymore. And all we have to do is take this system's power away from it. And everything will figure itself out from there. All right, guys. Raise your vibration. Keep meditating. Keep going to the gym. Keep loving and listening to music and being cool and trying to make the world a better place. And keep thinking for yourself. Don't let any motherfucker tell you what you should be thinking or how you should be speaking out in the world. That's your choice. All right. Anyway, I love you guys. If you're not listening to my music show, which I'm taking off for a moment because we got banned on Spotify, and we're gonna be bringing it back in I don't know, like a month. But All Your Favorite Bands Suck. There's a ton of episodes that are available in other locations besides Spotify where I got banned.
It's journalism, but I played too much of the songs for their liking. Anyway, I got to figure out something to recapitulate the show a little bit so that I can bring it back. But there's like 50 episodes that you can find in various locations of me covering my favorite bands. If you want to get into some new bands, there's all sorts of different genres: rock and pop and humor and punk and ska, all sorts of things. Anyway, also Cool Geek Live every Wednesday, every Saturday. This past Wednesday, I just talked about sort of like Diamond Comics distributors, which is the distributing hub for comics. They used to have a monopoly, and slowly but surely comics has just been falling apart. The entertainment system's falling apart, and I just break down the whole story of how that happened, which is basically the entertainment industry collectively failing to listen to their audience, and the audience is just collapsing away as all of these properties fall. So you can check that out. And then every Saturday with Cool Geek Alive, I do a Cool's pick, either a film or a TV show that I'm loving right now, or I've loved in the past and I want to share with you. So if you love film and TV, or you love music, check out those two podcasts. Otherwise, I hope you'll join me again next Friday for another fucking awesome episode of Everything They Don't Want You to Know. Peace, laters.
There's something in the water. There's something in the air. The proof is all around us. It's not a matter of time. Sure as the blaze in your eyes. I sense a subtle shift. Instincts I can't resist.